Peggy 16.
You're watching Battlefield Bootcamp. Today I'm joined by Toby Connolly, and today we're going to be discussing the motorbikes, which you'll find in the endgame DLC. So Toby, we've got these new speedy editions. What are they actually good for?
Well, despite the fact they're just dirt bikes, they can be really useful all around the battlefield. They're fast, they're nimble, they're agile, they can be hidden easily, they've got a very low target profile, they're small, they're hard to hit. They're just a really good addition.
So the bikes can get us from A to B really quickly, but they offer no protection whatsoever from bullets, rockets. So how can we actually make sure we get to where we want to go?
The biggest mistake a lot of people make is to jump on a bike and take the most obvious routes, the same routes as the tanks, the heavy armour, and most of the infantry. What I like to do is always to go around the outskirts of the map as far wide as physically possible. Maps like Kaiser Railroad, they've got hills, tracks, you can go anywhere and you can do anything on those bikes. There's jumps specifically set out by DICE around the maps for you to find and explore, and I'm still finding new ones now. So definitely take the widest route possible. The increase in speed will still get you to those flags faster than most other people, but taking those wider routes will offer you a bit more protection.
So what you're saying in a nutshell, exploit the terrain to your advantage.
Definitely. There's so much cover around on a lot of those maps that putting a bike behind them, you're not going to be seen.
Personally, I feel capture the flag is where the motorbike really comes into its own and can really influence a battle.
Yeah.
But of course, you need to work as a team on that one. How would you work the motorbike into your team play?
Normally it's either me and a buddy that are on the bike itself, or me and just another teammate, and we'll take the wide routes trying to get around the back and flanking the enemy team, and we'll get to their flag. I'll generally be driving the bike and I'll just simply stash it somewhere, I'll hide it somewhere, still sitting on the driver's seat. My teammate will jump off, go and grab the flag, quickly run back to me, and then we're away.
Can you give us any examples?
Yeah, think anywhere really, like between the rail carts themselves, around the backs of buildings, anywhere that you wouldn't normally fit any other vehicle, the bikes are great for just slotting in between.
The bikes also play a support role. I know you have a few cheeky examples yourself.
Yeah, you can, if you stand directly in front of the bike, look at it and throw either an ammo pack or a med pack, it'll stick to the bike and you can literally just drive around, drive past people and resupply them on the move. You don't have to stop and get off the bike and risk getting injured or killed.
So on a similar method, you can actually turn that against the opponents by chucking C4 on your motorbike, driving towards maybe an enemy barricade or tank, bailing off, and of course pop that C4.
Yeah, the C4 is a bit of a Battlefield fan favourite. It can get stuck to anything and the bikes is no exception.
Yeah, I remember that since Bad Company 1 when you'd stick the C4s to the Humvees, send them in the base, give them a little surprise.
Yeah, it works especially well on the bikes as well because they're so easy to jump off. And you literally throw the C4 on, drive straight at a tank or a target, jump off, and the bike's still got enough speed to go pretty close to the tank and detonate it, boom.
I was going to say, with the momentum of the speed of the bike and the actual size, you can probably get it down a few cheeky alleyways as well.
Yeah, definitely. You can launch it straight in their base sometimes, but I won't condone that.
So not only can you blow the bike up in people's faces, you can also actually use it to shoot down aircraft, but in a slightly different manner.
Yeah, the engineer class can really come into its own on the back of a dirt bike just getting drove around. If you equip a Stinger and just ride on as a passenger, or even take a bike out on your own, you can ride out to really obscure places of the map and act as an anti-air person, or simply just with an RPG and just drive around and get into different vantage points where you're hard to locate for the enemy team.
Well, you mentioned the RPG. I think nothing is more irritating for the tank really than someone driving behind, shooting it in the back where it's weakest, and then driving around because the bike has a quicker speed than the turret does.
Yeah, it does. The turret cannot match the bike's speed. So if you're the closer to the tank, the better, if anything. You can literally drive circles around a tank and it'll just be following you with a turret that simply can't catch you. The only dangerous time is when you drive away from the tank. If you haven't killed it by then you might be in for a treat.
So have you got any other tips for the bikes?
Another great thing to do when it comes to squad work with dirt bikes is to what I call like a hunter squad, and you get your whole squad together and you all work together using the bikes, but it's quite an in-depth topic, so I suggest we leave that for another time.
Right, well that's something definitely to touch on in a future episode. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time on Battlefield Bootcamp.